I was wrong about my daughter, and I don't mean that in a good way. For 63 years, I've prided myself on being a good judge of character. 27 years as a high school principal in Halifax taught me to read people. But when it comes to your own children, you see what you want to see. You ignore the red flags. You make excuses. Until one day, a complete stranger forces you to see the truth you've been running from. It started on a Tuesday morning in October. My daughter Emma called, which wasn't unusual. What was unusual was the cheerfulness in her voice. Since her mother passed 3 years ago from ovarian cancer, Emma had been distant. Oh, she'd visit on holidays, make the obligatory phone calls, but there was always this hurry, like she had somewhere better to be. "Dad, I'm taking the day off work," she said. "Let's do something fun. Just the two of us, like old times." My heart swelled. This was the Emma I remembered, the girl who used to drag me to the farmer's market every Saturday, the girl who'd spend hours showing me her art projects, who called me her best friend. "What did you have in mind?" I asked. "There's this new wellness spa in Clayton Park, Serenity Haven. Everyone at the firm's been raving about it. I booked us both for the works, massage, facial, the whole package. My treat." I hesitated. A spa wasn't really my scene, but Emma sounded so excited, so present. I hadn't heard that lightness in her voice since before her mother died. "All right," I said. "What time?" "I'll pick you up at 11. When Emma arrived, she was dressed immaculately, a tailored wool coat, expensive leather boots, a designer handbag. The successful corporate lawyer. Her husband Marcus had done well too, something in cryptocurrency that I never fully understood. They lived in a massive house in Southown, the kind with 3-car garages and heated driveways. Meanwhile, I still lived in the modest bungalow on Robbie Street that Helen and I had bought in 1987. After she died, Emma had suggested I sell the house and move into a condo. "It's too much house for one person, Dad. Too many memories." But I couldn't. Helen's presence was still in every corner. Her garden, her books, her piano that nobody played anymore. I couldn't bring myself to move. The drive to the spa was filled with small talk. Emma asked about my golf game, about the neighbors, about whether I'd been eating properly, concerned daughter questions. But there was something rehearsed about it, like she was checking items off a list. Serenity Haven was tucked into a converted Victorian house. Inside it smelled of lavender and eucalyptus. Soft music played. Everything was cream and pale blue and carefully designed to make you feel calm. The receptionist greeted us warmly. A young woman, maybe late 20s, with kind eyes and a Vietnamese accent. Her name tag read Lynn. "Welcome. You must be Mr. Carstairs. We have you both scheduled for our premium package." Emma pulled out her credit card before I could protest. Like I said, my treat. While Emma signed us in, I wandered over to look at the art on the walls. Watercolors of Nova Scotia coastlines. One reminded me of Peggy's Cove, where Helen and I had gone for our 20th anniversary. I turned. Lynn was standing close, closer than professionally necessary. Her voice was barely above a whisper. "Could you step over here for a moment? I need to confirm some information." Emma was still at the desk reading the service menu. Lynn led me around a corner into a small alcove near the restrooms. "I probably shouldn't say this," she whispered, glancing nervously toward the reception area. "But please, sir, don't sign anything your daughter gives you today." "Nothing." My stomach went cold. "I'm sorry." "What?" Lynn continued quickly, urgently. "We had a similar situation. Daughter took her elderly mother to the spa, to salons, to nice restaurants, always getting her to sign things. Just insurance forms, Grandma. Just updating your will, Grandma." By the time they figured out what was happening, she'd signed over power of attorney, lost her house, lost everything. I stared at this young woman, this stranger, who was telling me my daughter was trying to con me. "There must be some mistake," I said, but my voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. "Maybe I'm wrong," Lynn said. I hope I'm wrong. I've worked here 6 months. I've seen this twice. Always the same pattern. Adult child, elderly parent, nice day out, then the paperwork. The lawyers know which spas are busy, where the notary is on site, where it looks natural. She glanced toward the reception again. Your daughter called yesterday, asked specific questions. Is there a notary here? Can we use the private? Consultation room, what time is it least busy? My hands started to shake. I'm very sorry, Lynn added. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but please be careful, Dad. Emma's voice cut through. Everything okay? I turned to see her standing at the edge of the alcove, perfectly manicured eyebrows raised in concern. Yes, I said automatically. Just asking about the restroom. Right down that hall, Lynn said, bright and professional. She gave me one last meaningful look before walking back to the desk. The massage was torture. I lay there down on the table, unable to relax, unable to stop my mind from racing. This was insane. Emma would never. But then I thought about the phone calls that always seemed to come when she needed something. The way she'd pushed for me to sell the house. Her interest in my investments and in Helen's life insurance payout. The way she'd insisted I update my will after Helen died and had recommended her own lawyer for it. No, I told myself. She's your daughter. She loves you. But Helen's voice echoed in my memory. One of our last conversations, when the morphine made her speak truths she usually kept hidden. I worry about Emma and that husband of hers. They spend too much, always wanting more. Promise me, Richard. Promise you'll be careful with the house. Don't let them pressure you. I'd thought it was the medication talking, the fear. But what if it wasn't? After the massage, there was a half-hour break before the facial. Emma suggested we wait in the relaxation lounge, a quiet room with tea and soft chairs. I noticed a large desk with official-looking forms stacked neatly on it. I'll grab us some tea, Emma said. Chamomile. As soon as she left, I stood up. My body moved before my mind could catch up. Down the hall, past the massage rooms. The back exit was marked staff only, but it wasn't locked. I pushed through and found myself in a parking lot behind the building. Cold October air hit my face. I was still wearing the spa robe over my clothes. I must have looked ridiculous, but I didn't go back. I walked quickly to the street, pulled out my phone, and called an Uber. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely type my home address. The driver didn't ask questions, though he kept glancing at my spa robe in the rearview mirror. I gave him a generous tip and hurried inside my house, locking the door behind me like Emma might chase me. Then I sat in Helen's armchair and tried to breathe. My phone buzzed. Emma. Dad, where are you? Are you okay? I stared at the message. What was I supposed to say? Sorry. A spa employee warned me you're trying to scam me, I typed. Not feeling well. Went home. Sorry. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Why didn't you tell me? I would have driven you. I'm worried. I'm coming over. No. I needed time to think. I needed to know if Lynn was right, or if I was losing my mind. I silenced my phone and sat there as the afternoon light faded. What was I doing? This was Emma. Emma who I'd taught to ride a bike. Emma who'd cried in my arms when she didn't make the school play. Emma who'd read the eulogy at her mother's funeral with such grace that the entire church wept. But she was also Emma who'd borrowed $5,000 3 years ago and never paid it back. Emma who'd asked me to co-sign a loan for Marcus's sure thing investment that went nowhere. Emma who always seemed to need just a little more. I got up and went to Helen's office. We'd converted the spare bedroom years ago, and after she died, I'd left everything exactly as it was. Her desk, her filing cabinet, her meticulous organization system. Helen had kept everything. Every bank statement, every insurance policy, every legal document. I started pulling files, spreading them across the desk. Our house deed had been in both our names originally. Then I found something. A trust document from 2019. 6 months before Helen died, she'd transferred her half of the house into an irrevocable trust. Beneficiary: Richard Carstairs' successor trustee, not Emma, but my younger brother David, who lived in Vancouver. There was a letter paper-clipped to it, Helen's handwriting. Richard, if you're reading this after I'm gone, please understand why I did this. Emma called me last month. She and Marcus are in deep financial trouble. She wanted to know if we'd consider a reverse mortgage or selling the house and moving in with them. She framed it as concern for your well-being, but I heard the desperation underneath. I love our daughter, but I also know she can be persuaded by Marcus to make poor choices. This house is your security, your home. I won't let anyone take that from you. Even if they have good intentions, even if she doesn't realize what she's doing, especially then. I love you. Stay strong. I sat down heavily. Helen had known. She'd seen something I'd refused to see. My phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Emma. A number I didn't recognize. Mr. Carstairs, this is Detective Sharon with Halifax Regional Police, the voice said. I'm Lynn's aunt. She told me what happened today at the spa. I know this is difficult, but if you're willing, I'd like to talk to you about your daughter's recent activities. We've been building a case. My blood went cold. A case? Marcus Hoffman, your son-in-law, is under investigation for financial fraud. Multiple victims. We believe your daughter may be involved, or at minimum complicit. We've been watching them for 6 months. The spa visit today, the notary arrangements, that was going to be their move to get your assets before we closed in. I couldn't breathe. How many victims? 17 families so far, the detective said. Total losses around $2.3 million. Mr. Carstairs, has your daughter or her husband ever requested access to your financial accounts? Asked you to sign anything recently? I thought back to the will update. Emma had insisted I use Marcus's lawyer friend. I remembered the form she brought over last month. Just updating beneficiary information for my pension. Standard forms. I just needed to sign. Did you sign them? The detective asked. I think so, I said quietly. Those weren't beneficiary forms, she said. According to our investigation, they were applying for a line of credit using your house as collateral. Your signature gave them authorization to access up to $400,000. The room tilted. That's not possible. I would never. They disguise the documents, make them look like routine paperwork, the detective continued. They target older adults, often family members, gain their trust, and use carefully worded documents to get signatures. Victims don't realize what they've signed until it's too late. But Emma is your daughter. That's what makes it work. Who questions their own child? I sat in Helen's office, surrounded by her files and her careful planning to protect me, and felt my world collapse. What do I do? I asked. First, come to the station and make a formal statement, the detective said. Second, we need you to wear a wire. Emma will likely try to contact you again. Try to smooth things over, maybe explain away what happened today. We need you to get her to talk about the documents, about Marcus's involvement, about the other families. You want me to spy on my own daughter? I said. I want to stop her before she destroys more families, the detective answered gently. Right now she's facing fraud charges, conspiracy, elder abuse. But if we can prove she knew what Marcus was doing, if we can get her to incriminate herself, we can connect her to all 17 cases. We can get restitution for those families, people who lost their retirement savings, their homes, their futures. I thought about Emma reading at her mother's funeral. Then I thought about Helen's letter, about 17 families, about how long I'd been making excuses. When? I asked. Tomorrow, the detective said. She'll come over to check on you. She has to. She needs to know how much you suspect. That night I didn't sleep. I walked through the house, touching things Helen had touched. Her piano, her book collection, her gardening gloves still on the shelf by the back door. I stood in Emma's old bedroom, unchanged since she'd moved out for university 22 years ago. Swimming trophies on the shelf, posters of bands I'd never heard of, photos of her and Helen laughing and hugging. When had it gone wrong? Or had I just never wanted to see it? The doorbell rang at 9 the next morning. Emma stood on the porch with a shopping bag from Soy's. Dad, you scared me yesterday. I brought soup, homemade. She held up the bag with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Can I come in?" The wire was taped to my chest under my shirt. Detective Wynne was parked 2 houses down in an unmarked car. "Of course," I said. Emma bustled into the kitchen like she belonged there and started unpacking containers. Chicken soup, fresh bread, a fruit salad. All very normal, all very daughterly. "I'm so sorry you weren't feeling well," she said. "We had such a nice morning planned." "Yes," I said carefully. The spa was lovely, but I was wondering what we were going to do after the treatments. Emma's hands paused for just a fraction of a second. "What do you mean?" "The receptionist mentioned you'd reserved the consultation room with the notary." My voice was steady. "What were those papers for?" Her smile faltered. "Oh, that. Yes, I thought while we were there we could just quickly go over some paperwork. Nothing major. Just updating your will, making sure the beneficiaries are current. And there's this new investment Marcus found. Really solid, but we need to move quickly." "And the pension forms I signed last month?" I asked. "Were they really pension forms?" "Of course they were, Dad. Why would you even—" "Because a detective called me yesterday," I said. "She said those forms were actually a line of credit application. $400,000 against this house." Color drained from Emma's face. Then slowly it came back as anger. "A detective called you. About what? About Marcus? About what he's been doing? What you've been helping him do?" She laughed brittle. "This is insane. Dad, have you been taking your blood pressure medication? Sometimes it can cause confusion. Paranoia." "Don't," I said. The word came out harder than I intended. "Don't make me doubt my own mind. Your mother warned me about this." "What letter?" Emma demanded. "The one she left with the trust documents. The ones that put this house where you can't touch it?" Emma's face moved through several expressions: shock, anger, calculation, then grief. "She did that? Mom put the house in a trust without telling you? Without telling me? She was protecting you from me? From me?" Emma's voice rose. "Dad, I'm your daughter. I love you. Everything I've done has been to help you, to make sure you're taken care of after Mom died." 17 families, I said. "Emma, Detective Sharon said Marcus defrauded 17 families. They think you knew. They think you helped." For a long moment, Emma just stared at me. Then she sank into a kitchen chair. "You don't understand," she whispered. "You don't know what it's been like. The pressure." Marcus's business went under. "We're drowning in debt. The house, the cars, my student loans. We had no choice." "There's always a choice," I said. "Easy for you to say. You and Mom, you had it easy. Steady jobs, pension. Bought this house cheap when Halifax was cheap. Do you know what houses cost now? So you decided to steal from your own father," she said. "It wasn't stealing," she protested. "It was going to be yours anyway someday. We were just accessing it early, and we were going to pay it back once Marcus's new venture took off. His new venture is prison, Emma, and yours too, unless you help them." My voice broke. She looked up at me, and for just a second I saw my little girl again. Scared, lost. "What do I do?" she asked. "You tell the truth," I said. "You help them find the money. You make this right for those families? And then what?" she cried. "I go to jail. Lose everything." "You've already lost everything that matters," I said. She stared at me. I watched the moment when she made her choice. Her face hardened. "You're wearing a wire, aren't you?" she snapped. I didn't answer. Emma stood up, grabbed her purse. "I should have known. You always were Mom's favorite. Always took her side. Even now, when she's dead, you choose her over your own daughter." "I'm choosing right over wrong," I said. "Good for you, Dad. Enjoy your moral superiority. Enjoy this house. Enjoy being alone." She headed for the door, then turned back. "You want to know when it went wrong?" "When I stopped being your precious little Emma. It was when Mom got sick and you both shut me out. I wanted to help, to be there, but you wouldn't let me. You sent me away. You told me to focus on my career. You said you had it handled. And then she died and I wasn't even there. I was in Toronto at a deposition because you told me not to come. So don't you dare stand there and act like you're the victim. You abandoned me first." The door slammed behind her. I stood in the kitchen, the wire still recording, and realized she was partly right. We had shut her out. Helen hadn't wanted Emma to see her deteriorate, to remember her weak and in pain, and I'd gone along with it. We'd thought we were protecting her, Instead, we'd pushed her away and into the arms of a man who'd exploited her desperation and loneliness. But that didn't excuse what she'd done. It didn't erase those 17 families. Detective Wynne came to the door 20 minutes later. "We got everything we need," she said. "She'll be arrested this afternoon. Marcus was picked up an hour ago." "What happens now?" I asked. "Now we build the case," she said. "With your daughter's statement, the confession we just recorded, we can connect the dots on all 17 victims. We can pursue asset recovery. It won't be fast and it won't be complete, but it's something. And what happens to Emma depends on her cooperation. If she testifies against Marcus, helps recover the funds, shows genuine remorse, the prosecutor might offer a deal. 3 to 5 years instead of 15. My daughter in prison. 3 to 5 years. My hands felt empty. "You did the right thing," the detective said gently. "I know it doesn't feel like it, but you did." After she left, I walked through the empty house. It was so quiet. Too quiet. I ended up at Helen's piano. I hadn't played since high school, but I sat down anyway and pressed a single key. Middle C. It rang out clear and true. Helen had kept that piano tuned right up until the end, always hoping I'd play again, always believing in me even when I didn't believe in myself. I thought about Emma's words, about how we'd shut her out, about how pain can twist people, make them do things they never imagined, about how love without boundaries becomes enabling. My phone rang. David, my brother, said, "Richard, I just heard. I'm so sorry. Do you need me to fly out?" "No," I said. "I'll be okay. What will I do?" I looked around at Helen's house, our house, the place she'd fought to protect. "I don't know yet, but I won't sell it. I won't leave. This is where Helen is, where I can still feel her. Maybe, someday, after Emma serves her time, after she's done the work to become someone her mother would be proud of again, maybe she'll come home. The door will be open." "You're a better man than I am," David said. "No," I told him. "I'm just a father who failed his daughter, and now I'm trying to do right by everyone else's children." 6 months later, Emma pleaded guilty. She testified against Marcus, helping the prosecution recover nearly $1.8 million of the $2.3 million stolen. 17 families got most of their money back. Not all, never all, but enough to rebuild. Emma got 4 years. Marcus got 23. I visit her once a month at Burnside Correctional Facility. She doesn't always want to see me. Sometimes she's angry. Sometimes she's broken. Sometimes she almost looks like my Emma again. I always tell her the same thing. When you get out, you have a home. But you have to earn it. Not with money. With becoming the person your mother knew you could be. Last week, she actually smiled at that. A small smile, but real. I still sleep in Helen's chair some nights when the house feels too empty. I still keep her garden. I still play middle C on the piano, just one note to hear it ring true. And I wait, because that's what fathers do. We wait. We hope. We keep the door open even when we know we were wrong, especially then.